Hey, um, I know I've been doing a lot of singing and, um, well, if you're new, you might not be aware, but, I started out writing TV commercials and getting some of them put to storyboard, and then I went from that to doing some, whenever I listened to music, I could see music videos. So I would basically go through like 1 to 12 songs, 1 through 12, and say a bunch of videos for particular albums. Um, well, I also, the latest part of my sort of seeing certain movie style interpretations of certain things was being able to see full-fledged movies. And, well, I don't do it all that often, but I never was not able to do it after I was first able to do it, which was a few years ago. I did a movie for all of the people that I did a painting for using Corel Painter. And since then, I just do it occasionally. But it sort of strikes it every now and again for whatever reason. And I guess I don't know. Even though I've seen all the Transformers movies when they first came out, I haven't seen the latest two since they were first seen at the theater. So um, I just finished watching both of them at the same time and one after another. And I guess I was watching the lighter movie, the last installment of the Transformers movies, and I guess I don't know. I thought better of the ending, and so I sort of reshaped it, remade it, and then I went ahead and wrote a sixth Transformers movie. So I guess I'll explain the ending in case you haven't seen it or you haven't seen it lately, and then I'll just sort of try to go into the explaining the final installment, or at least another installment to the Transformers movies. But I was watching it. It was right near the end, but basically they ended up in space and they had found Merlin's tomb, and their goal was to have this girl from maybe England, because she was the last living descendant of Merlin, the same bloodline, and she was the only one that, if she were to wield the staff of Merlin, could actually turn it on. So, based on him being the first one that ever found the first Transformer, years and years ago, um, the whole point of the movie was called the Last Night or something. Well, based on it being the last night, Merlin, his time period was the beginning of the movie, so it went back in time just to show some final battles, and then him meet a Transformer, and then the Transformer entrusted him with his staff, and then, well, that staff he could use, to help fight wars, especially since they were losing a battle at the time when he begged for this dragon Transformer to help him. So he did. He gave him the staff, and he said, whoever, or now you'll be able to help yourself. Well, this staff went on to, create many things, including magic and using conquering armies, using magic, and all the other historical stories of Merlin. Well, the point of this Transformers movie was this staff was still around, but it was something that you had to locate using this small round talisman. Now that's where Mark Wahlberg is introduced, and he ends up saying no to this Transformer that was dying, saying, "I'm not going to take your talisman, that's yours." But the talisman had a life of its own and found its way, even when he was back in his car, to being in Mark Wahlberg's possession. He didn't know what it was, he didn't know how important it was, but he had it nonetheless. Well, with the side stories going on about staff that exists, and then another sort of guy who would be Anthony Hopkins in search for it, he ends up finding out who the last descendant is, and then finding this girl. Well, this girl is being talked to at the same time that Mark Wahlberg is introduced to the girl, all in the same house of Anthony Hopkins. Well, then their job is to now discover the staff. However, right when they discover it, they're attacked by Optimus Prime, who is transfixed by a woman in space that made him bad and not good. So he ended up turning on Mark Wahlberg and the female and taking this staff. Well, now that time has gone by and they've all decided, all the Transformers, not Optimus Prime, but the other Transformers and the girl and Mark Wahlberg, well, everyone has decided that they need to retaliate and try to get the staff back. They find themselves up in space where the space station is that has this new staff, and Optimus Prime still under a spell. Well, they end up getting it, and well, in the end, after or when they well, there's this section of the movie that I didn't like, which was the part where they find this staff. Now, before this final battle where they got to go get it, and Optimus Prime was transfixed, there was the part of the movie that I didn't like, and I'll say it now. So Mark Wahlberg and this girl, they're in this room, and they're by themselves before they were ambushed by Optimus Prime, but they're in this room, and they're looking for how to turn on this certain way of finding this staff. Now, in doing so, they figure it out, and then this tomb sort of comes out of the ground, and it holds Merlin inside of it. Merlin, who is, when they open the top of it, is just, bones and a beard and holding this wooden stick. Now, I don't know, but I kind of thought it was a little bit disrespectful when there was a sudden fight that broke out, and then this tomb was just crushed, and I'm just like, what about Merlin? I mean, it was a really, really good view of, our classic Merlin. I mean, it was someone's sort of pride and joy, sort of taking all the details into consideration and making it look like that was really his corpse. And you don't see inside esophaguses very often. And so I always have this specific opinion about, well, what about the lady that did her job really well to make it look like it was really Merlin? And it was only there for a glimpse, and then the thing gets freaking trashed. And yeah, they got the staff that was a wooden stick that eventually, if she touched it, not Mark Wahlberg, turns into this futuristic staff from the Autobots. Well, but it still kind of made me feel like, well, it's just rude, And I was like, I don't know. I finalized the movie. I still watched to the final scene where they got to go and get the staff back and everything. But I guess I just felt like, I don't know. I always feel like an activation sort of starts whenever I start to feel like I'm going to say a movie. Positive electrons start to sort of I don't know, the way somebody would start running on a track and not jogging, my brain starts to feel like it's starting to run. And I'm just like, I'm talking to my phone like I always do. And I'm just like, well, after I've already said I'm a little bit displeased with how they were treating the esophagus with Merlin inside, I'm just like, I don't know, what if Merlin was to wake up? And that's where I basically, turned into rewriting the ending to this movie. And I guess the new version was, and I'll try to repeat it exactly the way I said it before, but I always do movies the best the first time around. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And I didn't know I was even going to write a second movie after I finished the ending a second go around for this movie. So I didn't think to turn on my voice recorder, but I'll try to remember it the best that I know how. If I'm stuttering, if I slow down, it's only because I'm trying to remember what I said only, 15 minutes ago. But I'll do my best. Well, this moment of they're looking in this esophagus and then, wow, it's Merlin. I mean, the heavy lid was they both had to push it out and then they're looking at Merlin. Well, he's holding this wooden staff, and when she reaches to grab it, there's some electricity that happens, and let's see, how did I say it exactly? Oh, right. Okay, so his skin starts to come back when there's this sort of electricity that happens between her gripping the staff, him still holding the staff, and then some electricity, and it starts filling in the skin of his body. Now, his face starts to fill in, his teeth, his gums, his eyeballs and stuff. And while this is happening, I think he says something, but there is this rhyme that I might have said about it's her job to use this staff. And that's technically, if you were to rewrite the movie, you would basically talk about like the staff is because they wanted to unite the Autobots and the humans with a bridge. And this bridge was basically, and the reason why they were looking for it, and the reason why the Decepticons wanted it so bad, was because it was capable of making humans robots. So they would be Transformers, but a humanoid sort of version of it. And everybody wanted to know just exactly what that meant. Now, Merlin is already pre-equipped to sort of say rhyming out loud in the event that somebody were to follow him up on his promise as far as using the talisman. And that's when his skin starts to fill in, and then he says, while his skin is filling in with his mouth still correcting itself, he says, "Put in the talisman." And that's where Mark Wahlberg is standing there holding this, and it's a smaller talisman, not a bigger one, but it's got this Autobots sort of logo on it, and he puts it in, and it sort of fits in the staff, and it clicks, and then it does this jolt of electricity. Now, this is where the girl starts to change. Now, her arm becomes silver, and it becomes these like square plates. And then Merlin is talking, and he's saying something about how your job is to find anybody that you think is true and worthy to be an Autobot and to unite the worlds. And I think I said a rhyme that went right here, but I don't remember anymore. I've done this before where I say it the first time and I have no idea what I said later, but something about her job is to go back to Earth and find Autobots that are worthy, something about a true soul that would help her choose. And anyways, but what I remember was she's holding the staff, and then she's starting to yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. So she's holding the staff, and Merlin is holding the staff, and he's saying this chant, and then basically there's this illusion that happens around both of them, and she's looking at this sort of cloud-like in the sky above her, and she can see a bunch of different items, anything that's coming to her mind as far as things that she could transform into. Now, eventually her eyes close, and then there's this cosmic view of space inside her own mind, and then there's a bunch of stars that are shooting every which direction. And then by the time she comes out of it, she's this exhaling huge pterodactyl, yellow and white. Now at this point, they're having this problem because they're attacked by a bunch of Decepticons. There's a big fight that breaks out, and then later on it shows the ship is going down, and Mark Wahlberg is just hanging on the edge of this. Where was that? No, I'm so sorry. Okay, so Merlin is sitting there with the staff and her holding it, and then when he puts in the chip, then Merlin is suddenly floating above both of them, and he's in his robes, and he's all the way back to life. And then he tells her that she's the caregiver of the staff of finding any new Autobots of her choosing. But before she could figure out anything more, they're attacked, and so that's when they're running out of the room, and then they get separated, and Mark Wahlberg is fighting with Bumblebee and a bunch of other against a bunch of other Decepticons. But there's this ship that's going down out of the sky, right? And they're on it. And then there's this scene where Mark Wahlberg is dangling on the edge of a cliff with his hand sitting there. And the girl is separated from him, but she has a moment to herself. Nobody knows where she is, and she's sitting there. And the Merlin guy is talking to her in her mind. And he says, transform. And she says, into what? And then that's when this cloud shows. Now there's the bunch of different things that start showing her standing there, her body standing there, looking at a bunch of rotating things in front of her. But she can see there's different items that she can choose. And next thing you see is when she starts running towards the edge of the cliff, she starts to transform and lift off the ground. And her long yellow wings come out, and that's when she gets over the edge, but he's already dropped and he's falling. But then it pulls both of its wings in and starts diving straight down with this electrical burst, and then is flying like an oval straight down to gain speed, and then gets underneath him or is parallel to him, and he's screaming like and then looks over and then goes just below him, and now then the wings just fan all the way out, and then he's straddling her back, and then they glide all the way down to the ground. Well, they're coasting through a bunch of like hills and stuff, and then it shows eventually, her drop him off, and then he goes, just go, get out of here. Eventually, she keeps on flying and flying. She makes it all the way back to England type area, and she's walking, and she's nervous about who she is, because now everybody, including the Decepticons, is going to find her because they know what she looks like. And that's when, while she's walking away from the camera, this is how the movie was supposed to end, she turns into a bunch of silver plates, and then all of a sudden she just gets taller, and then her hair gets longer, and then that's how it ends. It fades out. So there's this rhyme that happens by Merlin that says, a part of his prophecy, all human Autobots are guaranteed safety with the safety mechanism of getting a new life to protect them from their old life. And so they can choose 1 second human identity different from their first one. It doesn't matter how tall or short or what color skin or what color hair, different person altogether. And so that's the second transformation of the Transformers, is they get a choice of a car or any other type of transformation, like her choice of pterodactyl, and then also a second version of a human. And then it fades out. So it was really a different ending altogether to sort of set up another movie. And that's when I was talking, I was just like, oh, yeah, no, we can do another movie. So I sort of went right into how the second movie starts, and then I'll just stop this and restart it.